And all the way from Dearborn, Michigan, Ms. Kunz.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Knight and Ranking Member Murphy and the guests for the opportunity to provide some insight around this important topic of apprenticeships and how small businesses are using apprenticeships to solve the skills gap. For 85 years, SME has been dedicated to the health and competitiveness of the manufacturing industry. We do that through developing the workforce and promoting advanced technology. And as you've heard from the other witnesses here, it is a very significant threat that the skills gap has on the manufacturing industry right now. And we've been doing a study for the last 5 years, and it hasn't changed, it's getting worse. And when we ask manufacturers the question of how difficult it is to get to find skilled labor, we find that 88% are saying, I'm having a difficulty finding skilled labor to do the work I have in my organization now, let alone into the future. When we ask a little more into that research, what is that doing to your business? They're telling us it's affecting their productivity, their innovation, quality, safety, profitability, right? These are all very key things to running businesses here in manufacturing. And so when we look at that and we look at the fact that Jeffrey brought up about that 90-some% of all manufacturing businesses are small, we know that small businesses need to thrive in order for manufacturing to be successful as well. And small businesses, unlike large businesses, have a little bit added challenge, right? We all know the CEO is wearing the HR hat, is wearing the custodial hat, and the plant manager hat. Small businesses can't always provide the same kind of benefits and packages that large companies can. So these added challenges really put pressure on the small businesses, I think, as well articulated by Tammy. So when we look at how do we help those small businesses, we certainly look at something like apprenticeship, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. We certainly know that there's lots of things, and I think Chairman Knight, you talked about the arsenal of tools that are needed to address the skills gap. But there's no doubt that apprenticeships is a key part, and Jeffrey and Tammy did an excellent job, I think, articulating that. And what we're seeing is the number of retirees and the baby boomers that you referred to that are exiting the manufacturing industry. Those skilled laborers, those journeymen, those apprentices that have all that knowledge, unfortunately, manufacturing historically has not done a good job building up that pipeline, hasn't done a good job building structured, sustainable programs. It's a little bit of follow me and watch what I'm doing on the job. Well, that doesn't work. We really need a very strong, structured, sustainable program for onboarding and on-the-job training, of which apprenticeship programs very much have. So SME supports the nationwide Department of Labor apprenticeship programs with a competency-based approach, right? That's the change from the past where it was much more time-based. It was more about how much time you put into a program. Now we're able to look at programs much differently, look at the knowledge and skills that are required to perform in the jobs today, and look towards how people can be assessed towards those knowledge and skills. So we're more oriented towards a competency-based program versus time, which also reduces the amount of time it takes to get people in the jobs doing effective things that move the organizations forward. As Jeffrey articulated, we're a good, strong partner here with SWAG, and I think you did an excellent job talking about your program. So it's not one I will mention here, but I think, and it was interesting to hear Tammy talk about the consortium. A couple of things that we're noticing, because we get the opportunity to work across the country, so we get to work with the small, the mid, and the large companies. But we are seeing that these organizations and these consortiums are coming together to really help represent multiple small organizations. One I'd like to mention through our partnership is with a group called MACNY, and it stands for the Manufacturers Association of Central New York. And what they basically represent 300 manufacturers, a lot of small to mid-sized manufacturers across central and upstate New York. And when they were talking to those members, like we would expect, those members were struggling with, hiring and finding people, finding the right skills. So MACNY went about how do they go and create these partnerships, these collaborations with the schools, organizations like SME, where we could look at the knowledge and skills and then start to drive towards what's needed 80% of the way, and then help the companies be able to have the flexibility to drive it to their own particular needs. One interesting thing that MACNY also did was look at a pre-apprenticeship. So it was working with the high schools, dislocated workers, veterans. So again, now that we're looking at apprenticeships inside these small companies, how do you start to look at, again, the pipeline of even getting those kinds of people into the system? So pre-apprenticeship program in the high school. We have some good examples where some companies are looking at how to take those pre-apprenticeships into an apprenticeship program and then into a career pathway into a college degree program. Many great things are happening in those kinds of examples. In summary, the health of small businesses is vital to manufacturing success. The largest OEMs in the world are relying on these small businesses. And all too often and not, I can't even tell you the number of times we hear businesses say that they're having to turn down orders, delay their expansion of their business because they can't find the right people, just things that we don't want to see continue. So apprenticeships is a proven and needed piece of a company's workforce development strategy, helps the businesses build a pipeline, grow internal talent, reduce recruiting costs, improve productivity. We thank the Subcommittee on Contracting and Workforce for taking the time to address this very important and clear issue that we have in front of us as a nation. Thank you.